Hey there everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be talking about comparison and contrast and how that applies to your essay. Now, the whole thing is that we're comparing and contrasting for a purpose. We're not just saying, oh yeah, we're going to compare these things, we're going to contrast them, we're going to see such and such. No, right? We want to do this for a reason. We compare and contrast in our own lives for a reason, right? Whether you're at the grocery store going to pick up some peanut butter, and you're trying to figure out if you want to buy like Jif or you want to buy store brand, right? You're checking pricing, you're checking the weight, you're checking maybe the nutrition. All of these things factor into our decision, which the ultimate purpose is which peanut butter do I buy and which one do I leave on the shelf, right? And like, as low stakes as which peanut butter you should buy is, that's kind of a big decision. Peanut butter is a major staple in your life, right? So, even on a small scale, we want to make sure that we're thinking critically. Now, in comparison to our class, right, taking that peanut butter and kind of moving into our class, we have our first essay that we finished up that was about the rhetorical appeals that are present in a website, right? A website that was created for our class. Now what we're going to do is we're going to expand that, okay? We are going to expand that to another website as well. And we are going to compare two similar websites to understand how they work differently to achieve the same goal, okay? That's what we're looking to do here. These websites, the one is obviously the one that you wrote about for essay 1, and the second one is the one that you have chosen that has a similar purpose. So this is the second one is a legitimate website that you've taken off of the internet and that you will be using to compare with the website that you've worked with for essay 1. Okay, so what does it need to do, right? There's a good question. Comparison contrast essays should establish the basis of comparison right away from the thesis statement, right? Of course, that's at the end of the introduction, just like we put it for our illustration example essay that developed rhetorical analysis. So since everything that's in the essay stems from the thesis, you'll want to include a little bit of all the information we're dealing with, okay? So that's going to be the name of your two organizations, right? Either We Found Fido or Global Warming Consortium, and then that other website that you choose, right? That website is information from an organization, all right? The next thing you need is the major similarity between your two websites, okay? That's really important. And finally, you need two ways your chosen websites share, right, with the reader that similarity differently, okay? And this will be clear as we continue to talk about it and you see the sample, things like that, okay? Now, your reader will understand, based on your thesis, that your essay is going to analyze how the two websites differ in their approach to sharing similar information. Okay, this is the purpose of comparison contrast. There is no point if you don't have a final purpose, right? This reason that we're comparing. Now, some of you in the first essay really wanted to get into like the misinformation, disinformation, the scam part of the websites that you chose for essay 1. Well, this is the time. And you can see that being done in the sample essay for comparison contrast, okay? So if you want to see how you can employ that and still be fitting within the kind of rules of comparison contrast, definitely check that out. All right. So as I said, your first website will be that website that you analyzed for essay 1. You should, at this point, know these websites, whichever one you chose, back to front. So this will make it easier to find something similar and to compare. Now, your second, again, website will be an organization that attempts to meet similar goals, okay, that has a similar purpose. So, for example, if you're working with We Found Fido, you should be looking for a persuasive website that offers maybe tips for finding lost dogs on at least one of their web pages, okay? You want this to be a legitimate organization. You don't want this to be, some guy named Paul who lives in I don't know, someone's basement and just types a blog about finding pets, right? We want it to be a legitimate organization that we can kind of put up against We Found Fido and say, okay, well, where are things going wrong, right? Where are things, how are they sharing this similar information just in different ways? And what do those different ways mean? Okay, if you're using Global Warming Consortium, your site should engage with climate change and attempt to persuade the reader, right? That's what we're looking for, right? Something that is similar. Now, so our sample essay, and at this point, I guess I should pause and say, take a moment to read the Atlantis Crusaders website. This is another created website, and the sample essay before continuing. Pause this video, go do that, come back, so that way you have a basis of understanding and what I'm going to talk about as it directly relates to the sample. All right. So now I'm assuming you've restarted with me, right? Very cool. Thank you for taking the time to read the sample and the Atlantis Crusaders website, so we have a good understanding of what's going on here. So both of these websites engage with exploration, right? That is essentially, a major similarity between them, and both of them have this kind of altruistic, angle that they're trying to take. All right, so Atlantis Crusaders is a created website just like either We Found Fido or Global Warming Consortium, and Earthwatch is an actual legitimate organization, which actually seems really, really, really cool. So just putting that out there for you. Now, to compare them, we need to establish our purpose. Okay, again, we need the names of the two organizations, a similarity between their websites, right? That big thing that they are similar about. That didn't make sense, but that big thing that makes their purpose similar. Okay, two ways your websites share that particular similarity using different methods. Right, and let me develop that here a little bit. It could be different rhetorical strategies. It could be different information types. It could be disinformation. It could be misinformation, right? So you have so many options here. All right, so just sort of keep that in mind. This is the essay where you can really work to develop your own, thought process a little bit more. You're not confined quite as much to what's on the page. You are kind of open to exploration for this second website and then conveying that information. All right, so let's take a look at our sample thesis here. While the websites Atlantis Crusaders and Earthwatch work to empower the global community through research and results, they differ in their stated mission and their methods for welcoming the public into their expeditions. So if we were going to break this down, right, our thesis would be the names of two organizations, Atlantis Crusaders, Earthwatch, right? So website 1, because it's listed first, would be Atlantis Crusaders. Website 2, listed second in our thesis, is going to be Earthwatch. Now, the similarity between the two is that both work to empower the global community through research and results, right? This idea of empowerment and, giving back is a major part of both of these websites. Now, two ways that they differ in sharing that message, though, is their stated missions and the methods for welcoming the public into their expeditions. All right, and then the essay is going to be about that. All right, so the thing I want to point out is, as you read the sample essay, notice that the similarity between the two websites is where you're going to connect your evidence to your own analysis, right? You're going to present evidence and then explain how this is working to show that similarity, okay? And that's where you get to have a little bit of fun. Now, that might sound a little bit strange, especially if you cheated and didn't read the sample essay, but take a look at that, because the analysis there links it back to, this empowerment for the global community, okay? So your analysis should develop how each difference you've chosen engages with the similarity you've chosen. All right, that's our kind of purpose here. So now you might be asking, well, what are minimum requirements for this essay? Where I might tell you, well, you have an assignment requirements document, go check that out, which you absolutely should, by the way. But we will also take a look at it here just so you have a good idea before you dive into it on your own. All right, so these are the minimum requirements that if you don't meet them, you can't earn a 59, a 60% or higher, right? You'll be stuck in that F range and no one wants to be there. So you want to make sure you give yourself enough time, latitude, and discussion, right? If you feel like you need to talk about this, schedule a meeting with me. It's cool, right? We'll talk. But it needs to be 3 to 4 pages in length before the works cited page. It needs to engage with both websites to compare and contrast, right? I mean, what's the purpose of a compare and contrast essay if you're not doing that? There isn't one. An attempt to use the block method or point-by-point method for organization. This might be throwing off some alarm bells. You might be like, I don't know what that is. We'll talk about it, okay? Include an MLA Works cited page and in-text citations. At minimum, you must cite to your website from Essay 1 and your second chosen website, okay? It's really important that you cite every piece of information that you use from the website, from any other website that you might be referencing, okay? In the sample, you'll see that I was fact-checking a comment that I made about submarines and sonar, right? That you can't use them in bad weather, right? Which ended up being very true. It took a little digging, and then I cited to the website that I found that information on. All right, so anytime you reference something that you use in your essay, make sure to cite it, credit the source. It's really, really important. Now, your essay should engage critically with visual or textual rhetoric, right? Kind of the same thing that we were doing. Instead of analyzing it in an isolated way, we are now comparing the way that visual and textual rhetoric is being presented to another website, right? Now, to do this, you need to identify similarities in the introduction and conclusion. You don't want them spilling into your body paragraphs. I'll tell you why. Similarities are really easy, right? These 2 types of peanut butter contain peanuts. These 2 types of peanut butter contain oil. These 2 types of peanut butter need to be stirred. Okay, what more is there to say? Not much, right? You're just listing if it's similarities. But if it's the differences, this peanut butter needs to be stirred, but this one doesn't. Well, why does this one need to be stirred? Why doesn't this one need to be stirred, right? What is it about their makeup that stops you from having to stir one while you have to stir the other? Okay, again, silly example, but differences breed more discussion, more analysis, more questions. So they give us more to talk about, okay? You're going to use 2 concrete differences to write the body of your essay, and that's going to be your body this time around is going to be 4 paragraphs. So you've got your introduction, 4 body paragraphs, and your conclusion, okay? And you're going to engage in active analysis of those differences by showing how what makes the website similar is accomplished in different ways. All right, I know I've said that like 17 times, 17 different ways, but ultimately it's all the same thing. Okay, that is our goal here. Now you need to establish why this comparison is necessary. Who cares? When it comes to peanut butter, that might seem low stakes, but the prices of food is going up, and maybe that is your primary staple for food right now. So it's really important that you get the best quality for the best price, right? I mean, that is a valid reason for comparison, okay? Maybe you're a peanut butter connoisseur. That could work too. I've never met one of those, so if you are one, tell me. That'd be kind of cool. And then, of course, you have to answer, well, what you've determined after your comparison, right? Have you decided your website, either We Found Fido or Global Warming Consortium is a total scam and it's a ripoff, and, you've just shown why through that comparison? Cool. Do it. If that wasn't the focus of your findings, well, what else did you conclude? Was it maybe effective at persuading? Was it ineffective, right? Is that what your essay showed? So you want to show in your conclusion, what you determined based on your comparison. Now follow college level writing conventions, right? Same thing as we saw last time, except now we've got the addition of the 4 body paragraphs instead of just body paragraphs more generally, right? We need our intro, which also, if you look on the assignment requirements, contains the hook and the bridge and the thesis and the, like all the stuff, right? You need your body paragraphs that contain your topic sentences and your evidence and your analysis and your transitions, all of the things we've talked about before, okay? So you're also going to need proper in-text and works cited citations. You can look in the MLA handbook for those, all right? I know many of you, at least for the first draft of Essay 1, did not look at the MLA handbook. You have the tools. It was free. Use it, okay? Make sure you have no excuse. It is available to you on Blackboard. MLA formatting is one of those things that's becoming kind of a pet peeve for me. And let me tell you why. It doesn't really change. Maybe a bit of formatting will change, but where you need to cite it, like anytime you reference something that's not, in your mind, in your own ideas, that doesn't change. You've always needed to cite it since as far back as whenever. Okay, in academic writing. So we need to do that again. We need to continue that. All right, so use the MLA handbook. It doesn't change. Make sure you use it. All right, rant over. Let's move on. Now, I talked before about the block method and the point-by-point method, and you probably went, I don't know. So that is the method of organization for this essay. So let's break down what they are. Okay, so the only difference, and I mean this, right? If I could highlight it and make it look really bright and fancy, I totally would, but that would kind of throw off the vibes of this presentation, don't you think? The only difference between block and point-by-point methods occurs in the body paragraph. So your thesis is going to be the same, your introduction is going to be the same, your conclusion is going to be the same. You can write your whole essay in the block method, and then at the last minute, decide, you know what, I'm changing it to the point-by-point method and only have to change a couple of sentences. All right? It ultimately doesn't matter which you choose. You just need to be comfortable with whichever one you choose. All right? That's kind of the big thing here. All right? So be comfortable, be confident in which one you choose, and follow what I'm about to tell you. Okay? So let's look at this. Now, in terms of the block method, right, since this refers only to your body paragraphs, each line here is going to be one body paragraph. So body paragraph 1 is going to talk about website 1 and difference 1. Okay, now you might stop me and say, okay, well, wait a minute, how do we know which is website 1 and which one is difference 1? Well, remember before when I told you that website 1 was the one that was listed first in the thesis? Yeah, you order them in your thesis statement, okay? Just like you order your differences in the thesis statement. If you start off, talking about mission statements being different, well, then that's going to be difference 1 all the way through your essay. Okay, so that's really, really important. You've assigned the numbering. You need to stick to the numbering. Okay, so first body paragraph, website 1, difference 1. Second body paragraph, website 1, difference 2 for block method. Third, website 2, difference 1. Fourth, website 2, difference 2. All right, so you might be like, okay, well, wait a minute. I can only talk about website 1 and difference 1 in body paragraph 1? Yeah, totes my goats. This essay is testing your organizational skills. Can you choose to only talk about this one combination of things in each body paragraph, right? Don't venture into, website 2 if you're talking about website 1 and difference 1. You don't want to do that, okay? You want to make sure that you are staying organized, you're staying clear, you're not following the format of 90% of comparison contrasts that you find online, where they're like, well, the iPhone 8 does this, and the iPhone 14 does this, and then iPhone 8, and then iPhone 14. I don't know why you'd compare those two. That's a terrible comparison. But you see the point, right? It's like watching tennis. You're just kind of flipping back and forth between one topic and another. You want to avoid that, okay? You are going to show your comparisons, right, by developing the differences. So that's how we will do it. So website 1 and difference 1, one paragraph. How those two interact, right? And then, of course, your analysis is going to be, well, how does this difference in this body paragraph show that this website accesses the similarity from the thesis in a different way than when we get to the paragraph about website 2. Okay, so I know being general makes it a little bit convoluted, but there's a reason I'm not talking about which method the sample essay uses, okay? And I'm sure you've just guessed it, but let's just, kind of continue to move on. So again, with the point-by-point method, we've got our body paragraph order here. Okay, again, each of these lines is one body paragraph. Okay, first body paragraph is going to talk about website 1 and difference 1. You'll notice both of them are the same. And you'll also notice body paragraph 4 is the same. The only difference between the two is body paragraphs 2 and 3. That's why I said it only takes a couple of sentences. You just have to change your transitions. All right, so, you'll want to make sure that you are following one or the other. Website 1, difference 1, body paragraph 1. Website 2, difference 1, body paragraph 2. Website 1, difference 2, body paragraph 3. Website 2, difference 2, body paragraph 4. Okay, now I want you to look at something else really quickly, which is in the block method, you group by website. And in the point-by-point method, you group by difference. Now, I'd recommend when you are brainstorming and planning for this essay that you actually use the boxes, use boxes or tables or however you want to separate it out by this combination of website and difference, so that you can then make sure that all of those components for your body paragraphs match. Right, that you're not going off on a different website or developing a different difference. You want to stick to your focus. It's really important, okay? So here's your assignment, okay? In one PDF document that follows MLA formatting, don't forget, include the following 3 pieces of information. I'd like 3 to 5 sentences that identify whether the sample essay uses the block or point-by-point method and how you know it chooses the block or point-by-point method. I'd like you to also find a website that has a similar purpose to the website you chose for essay 1, right? Either We Found Fido or Global Warming Consortium, and identify how that purpose is similar, right? Once you do that, you've got 3 parts of your thesis statement. And all you need to do is pick out a difference or 2 differences, right? And then the final part is using section 9 of the MLA handbook, share the website with me that you've chosen to compare your created website with, okay? You're going to share a works cited citation with me so that 1, I can check your works cited citation and offer you suggestions. Gives you less work as you're working on your draft, which is always awesome. And also I can double check and make sure that that particular website is working well, okay, for our purposes. No need in setting you behind. All right, so that is the last of what I wanted to say. I do have one more quick point, which is check on the rubric before you start working through any of these assignments related to Essay 2. The rubric breaks down my expectations for different grade levels. I know grades are really important to you in a way that's different from the way they're important to me, because they're not. Your skills, right? They matter. And the rubric is a visual way of equating your skills to a grade. So you'll want to try to meet the skills for whatever grade it is that you are attempting to get. All right, do not forget it is on the last page of the assignment requirements for Essay 2, so please, please, please take a look. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day, great week, and I will see you next week. See ya.